Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings and shout out to everybody. I want to read to you something. I have this book. I hope this shows up correctly on the video, and I hope you can hear me well. Prophet Muhammad, the Last Messenger in the Bible, by Qais al-Kaibi, right? This book, I think, to be honest with you,
yeah, my weekly bill went down $80, man. I'm sticking with this.
I hope that didn't. I gotta block that because I don't want that interrupting my video. Sorry about that. I think every Muslim should get this book. I think every Christian should get this book. I think every Jew should get this book. I think every Gnostic should get this book. I think every agnostic should get this book. I'm doing a video. You gotta knock before you come in here. Don't just bust in here. Stop that. Children, man. It gets wild around here. I got 6 of them. Anyway, just for educational purposes, if you like to read or if you just like information, you don't even have to be a religious person to read this. I think you should. But I'm gonna skip through to page 111 of this book, and I'm gonna read it to you. Oh, and by the way, let me go to the front of this book and read this because I don't want any strikes on this video. It's a copyright from 1991 to 2008, and it says in the very beginning of this book, permission, I want you to see this, permission is granted to use all parts of this book for educational purposes or critical reviews. So this is a review of the book. All other printing purposes are reserved by the author for English and translations in all other languages. Get out. So this is a review. Dude, you know what? This nothing. Everybody want to call me. Everybody want to interrupt me. Dude, this is not the time. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'm already 3 minutes into the video. And again, I hope you can hear me clearly. If you can't, please say something in the comments. The Gospel of Barnabas, and it's Appendix 3, how the Gospel of Barnabas survived. They're going crazy in the kitchen in there. The Gospel of Barnabas was accepted as a canonical, I think that's how you pronounce that, gospel in the churches of Alexandria till 325 AD. Irenaeus, from 130 to 200, wrote in support of pure monotheism and opposed Paul for injecting into Christianity doctrines of the pagan Roman religion and Platonic philosophy. He had quoted extensively from the Gospel of Barnabas in support of his views. This shows that the Gospel of Barnabas was in circulation in the 1st and 2nd centuries of Christianity. In 325 AD, the Nicene Council was held, where it was ordered that all original Gospels in Hebrew script should be destroyed. An edict was issued that anyone in possession of these Gospels will be put to death. In 383 AD, which is about 60 years later, the Pope secured a copy of the Gospel of Barnabas and kept it safe in his private library. In the 4th year of Emperor Zeno, 478 AD, the remains of Barnabas were discovered, and there was found on his breast a copy of the Gospel of Barnabas written by his own hand. Let me read that again. In the 4th year of Emperor Zeno, in the year 478 AD, the remains of Barnabas were discovered, and there were found on his breast a copy of the Gospel of Barnabas written by his own hand. Asia Sanctorum Bolin Juni, Tom 2, pages 422 and 450. Antwerp, 1698. That's some, I think, Latin I don't really understand. The famous Vulgate Bible. Vulgate, let me see if I can, right here. Vulgate Bible, right here where my finger is. It appears to be based on this gospel. Will you please stop busting in here? Get out. Damn, I'm gonna have to put a lock on the door, man. Astaghfirullah, excuse my language, man. That's just real. This is my everyday life. The everyday Muslim. Jesus. They don't get it. Man, I might have to do something about how to raise children, man, because it's my off day, and I'm just, man, bro, it's so hard to focus. Sometimes now, the difficulty of Salat, right? This is like I'm going to sidestep. Just in a day, so many things happen that I have to ask Allah for mercy and forgiveness, because sometimes, man, I get so busy with these children that time just passes. Like right now, I just had to combine my Asr prayer and my Maghrib prayer. I don't really like to do that, but I'm not willing to skip my Salat. You see? Family business, man. And hopefully that goes down in my book as a good deed. Trying to, be a father and a husband. Anyway, let me go back to this because I keep getting interrupted. Pope Sixtus, from 1585 to 1590, which is a period of 5 years, had a friend called Fra Marino. This sounds like Italian. He found the Gospel of Barnabas in a private library of the Pope. Fra Marino was interested because he had read the writings of Irenaeus, where Barnabas had been profusely quoted. The Italian manuscript was passed through different hands till it reached a person of great name and authority in Amsterdam. Quote, during his lifetime was often heard to put a high value on this piece. After his death, it came in possession of J.E. Kramer, a counselor of the King of Prussia. In 1713, Kramer presented this manuscript to the famous connoisseur of books, Prince Eugene of Savoy. In 1738, along with the library of the prince, it found its way into Hofbibliothek in Vienna. I think that's a library. There it now rests. Yeah. Toland in the Miscellaneous Works, which was published posthumously in 1747, in volume 1, page 380, mentions that the Gospel of Barnabas was still extant. In chapter 15, he refers to the Galatian decree of 496 AD, where Evangelium Barnaby is included in the list of forbidden books. Prior to that, it had been forbidden by the Pope Innocent in 465 AD and by the decree of the Western churches in 382 AD. Is this where Western thought and theology starts at? That's the question I'm putting in. The Latin text was translated into English by Mr. and Mrs. Ragg and was printed at the Clarendon Press in Oxford. It was published by the Oxford University Press in 1907. This English translation mysteriously disappeared from the market. 2 copies of this translation are known to exist. One in the British Museum and the other in the Library of Congress, Washington. The first edition was on a microfilm copy of the book in the Library of Congress in Washington, which was received through the courtesy of a friend in the USA. And a side note, it says here, in 496 AD, the Pope Gelasius, I did not allow the reading of the Gospel of Barnabas. It was on the list of forbidden books. The name of Muhammad is mentioned in the Gospel, and the Romans feared his coming with the knowledge that he would end their empire. Now, what do we know about Barnabas? They will give you some information at the very beginning of this chapter about Barnabas, right? And it's been a while since I picked up the Holy Bible, but I believe Barnabas is mentioned in there, right? Barnabas mentions Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Barnabas could not have read the Quran, since he did not mention that Jesus spoke in the cradle and that Jesus breathed in dust and made a bird. Jesus spoke in the cradle to protect his mother Mary from being accused of adultery or zina. A note from the author. In regards to this chapter, the Gospel of St. Barnabas, I would like to just say that in accordance to Islamic understanding, we Muslims look upon all information taken from the books of old, or New Testaments, or any stories from the previous nations in this manner, that we do not negate them or affirm them. Allah, the Almighty, Majestic, knows best. Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, I'll read one more thing here very quickly. Jesus foretelleth his betrayal, and descending from the mountain, healing 10 lepers. When Jesus had said this, Peter answered, O teacher, behold, we have left all to follow thee. What shall come of us? And Jesus answered, verily ye in the day of judgment shall sit beside me, giving testimony against the 12 tribes of Israel. And having said this, Jesus sighed, saying, O Lord, what thing is this? For I have chosen 12, and one of them is a devil. The disciples were sore grieved at this word, whereupon he who writeth secretly questioned Jesus with tears, saying, O Master, will Satan deceive me? And shall then I become reprobate? And Jesus answered, be not sore grieved, Barnabas, for those whom God hath chosen before the creation of the world shall not perish. Rejoice, for thy name is written in the book of life. Jesus comforted his disciples, saying, fear not, for he who shall hate me is not grieved at my saying, because in him is not the divine feeling. Now, that was Jesus speaking to Barnabas. And, whether you believe it or not, I won't confirm or deny this, but it's telling you that Jesus had a companion named Barnabas. Okay? And so he was, one of his right hand. He was one of his boys, right? And the gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, right? Why don't we have the gospel of Barnabas in the Bible? Think about that. Okay? So, just like Muslims today, a lot of Christians are not what Christians used to be prior to, if we just heard, 325 AD. Okay? So just some stuff to think about. I just wanted to read that. This is part of my me educating myself about my religion. I know that after reading through this book, there's no doubt in my mind that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Okay? So, you can read this for critique. You don't have to believe it. But I would just suggest reading it. Okay?